as much as I don't want to talk about it, well, I have to talk about it. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Very Cold Lasagna, your place for all those filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. This is episode number 184 of this icy yet spicy sports podcast. And in this episode, we are fortunately going to be talking about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl 58 that is just wrapped up. I'm actually recording this hours after the Super Bowl has just ended. And, well, for all my Niners fans out there that are feeling all the emotions right now, even when I release this episode, the day after, if you want to use this as therapy, then sure, come in, sit down, grab some headphones, grab whatever drink, and whatever food you wanna consume. Let's use this as our therapy session, shall we? Because this was our game. This was certainly our game that we were supposed to have. I ignored all the media crap all week long. I'll be honest with you. I like I said, I thought this was ours. This is ours to have. I blocked out all the media noise because I wanted to be dialed in, and hopefully that this would be our time. I want us to hashtag finish the story, but maybe that wasn't such the brightest idea. I don't know. Not channel the inner Cody Rhodes, for as much as I'm not too big of a fan on him. But alas, let's talk about why that ended up not being. So anyway, before we get into it, the shebang. Follow me on social media on X and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And if you're all my audio listeners out there, make sure you rate and review the show 1 to 5 stars. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the whole shebang as well. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. It just hurts right now. It really just hurts. It's hours after the game. And even if I recorded this a day after, it would still hurt. It would still really hurt so much. So anyway, this Super Bowl that happened in Las Vegas. It's the first time that the big game occurred. It was in Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders. I imagine, like I said in my preview, the Raiders were probably pissed off at both of these teams playing inside of their home stadium because obviously the Chiefs are the division rival, the AFC West division rivals to the Raiders, who didn't even make the playoffs. And for the 49ers, they were the Raiders' old Bay Area rival, the former Bay Area rival of the Raiders, when they were in Oakland. Now they're in Las Vegas, so the rivalry is not so much there anymore. So anyway, this is a rematch of their Super Bowl 54 game that happened 4 years prior. The Chiefs won that one 31-20. They overcame a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter down in Miami. Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl MVP of that matchup. That was their first of 2 Super Bowl trophies that they won. They would win up to this point. And going into this game, in the 4-year span that they had been since that time, they have changed a little bit of a good amount. Patrick Mahomes, he's still there, but the offense that he possessed since then, a little less dynamic. Sure, Travis Kelce is still there, but gone is that downfield threat that is Tyreek Hill. So he has to work with a bunch of receivers that he can't really consider a true number 1 receiver. So they were a little bit more safe, yet they possessed a better defense. And hell, it got them some success. They won the Super Bowl last year in Arizona against Philadelphia, and now here they are trying to go for that back-to-back. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, going into this Super Bowl, they had a new quarterback under center. It's no longer Jimmy Garoppolo. It's a second-year quarterback, and the so-called Mr. Irrelevant of the 2022 NFL Draft, Brock Purdy, would become a revelation for the offense, unlocking a variety of weapons like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. They were all ready to explode once he came along, and certainly he did. There was a lot of unleft potential in that NFC title game in Philadelphia, and then one full season later, here they are in the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs were, like I said, entering this game as the reigning, defending, undisputed champions, looking to repeat for the first time since the 2003-04 New England Patriots did it. And then for my 49ers, they were looking to finally get that elusive number 6. That so-called quest for 6 that everyone keeps talking about. Yeah, they were finally looking to finish that story and get that 6th Super Bowl title that been in their grasp, that yet keeps eluding them since 1995 or 1994, excuse me, when they beat the San Diego Chargers, and also get some much needed redemption from that Super Bowl in Miami that they lost to Kansas City in. And well, in this game, starting with this game in Las Vegas against the Chiefs in this rematch, they got off to a good start. They got the ball first. Christian McCaffrey off to a great start on San Francisco's opening possession. Dominating in the trenches, but unfortunately he had the ball punched out by linebacker Leo Chanel. Didn't even know his name until, he gave us a good education on that. So he had the ball punched out. The Niners were in good scoring position, but unfortunately, a very early turnover for Kansas City inside the Chiefs' 30. So a prime scoring opportunity for San Francisco gone like that. But it didn't cost them too much because the Niners defense also started off very strong, forcing a quick punt on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So no harm, no foul, but that was a good scoring opportunity for San Francisco that just whiffed away like that. And then, the first quarter was pretty much a slugfest between the defenses because both teams neutralized each other on offense until there was very late in the first quarter. Brock Purdy in the offense started advancing the ball towards scoring position inside the Kansas City red zone going into the second quarter. But all they could muster was a long 55-yard field goal from, of all people, Jake Moody, who I've had my issues with. Many people have had their issues with in the San Francisco faithful. But hey, he at least made it to put his team up 3-0. So he at least made the big kick that mattered very early on, shook off those nerves, and good for him. Good for him. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they got their best chance on offense, finally, after cracking the code after a first quarter of struggles. Mahomes deep balled one to McCole Hardman, even though you had safeties to Sean Gibson and Jair Brown in coverage. A place where they sorely missed Talanoa Hufanga at safety. However, on one play later, they had running back Isaiah Pacheco had the ball stripped away from him by corner Diamador Lenore. Javon Hargrave, the defensive lineman, recovered it. So pretty much they traded strip fumbles on each other. So the Niners repaid the debt that the Chiefs gave them earlier. But unfortunately, the Niners offense, they couldn't take advantage of it. So essentially that's a turnover that they just couldn't take advantage of because the Chiefs defense were right on their tails. But as the Niners were ready to take the field again, there was something to monitor. There's something to seriously monitor on that defense, because you notice something when they cut back to commercial. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo were pointing it out. Dre Greenlaw hurt his leg while preparing to get back on the field. He was jumping around, and then all of a sudden, when he was ready to run back on the field, he had that like Kevin Durant kind of injury, and he jumped down, or he rolled onto the floor, and then he's holding his calf, his lower leg, and that was bad. That was very bad, and it led to a lot of concern. The players were around him during the commercial break, and Dre Greenlaw was on the sideline, and then you see the cameras cut. Oh, there's a cart, and that was pretty bad too. So they later ruled it a lower leg injury, and then they later ruled it an Achilles injury. Just great. And my thought process was, as I'm sitting there trying to be calm, cool, collected, trying to take this game in, and just thinking, God, no, please don't let it be an Achilles. Just hopefully it's just a cramp. But then nope. I've Schefter on Twitter and Evan Washburn saying, nope, it's an Achilles. And I'm just like, fuck. He's not coming back for this game, not for a while either. So that could be a big blow to their defense when it comes to nut busting time, and eventually down to the later stages of this game. And I'm just like, oh, great, just what we needed. So they got, at least the defense, is still holding its own, despite not having Dre Greenlaw there, at least right at that point. And then, you have the running back tandem of Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell getting San Francisco back in scoring position. And then they got a little tricky. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, dialed up a trick play for Brock Purdy and Juwan Jennings. Purdy threw it to Juwan, and Juwan looked like he was going to throw it, but he saw some Chief players coming towards him, and he decided to throw it back to Christian McCaffrey. And it looked like it was going to be a busted trick play, but no. McCaffrey pushed through some open holes, and then right then and there, touchdown, 10-0, with less than 5 minutes to go in the first half. And all right, it seems like we're going somewhere. Like, great. The offense finally woke up. And then Mahomes and the offense, though, meanwhile, they got back into near touchdown range. But once again, that defense of San Francisco still holding its own, despite the back end allowing Mahomes in the offense marching down to near the end zone. But Eric Armstead sacked Mahomes on third down and forcing Harrison Butker to make it a 10-3 game heading to halftime. So, the Niners defense, for as cold as ice as the San Francisco offense was, they dominated the trenches in the first half. They pressured Mahomes up the butt, and outside of a few big downfield passes, the front four really kept him in check. They really kept him within the pocket, and even if he went outside the pocket, they didn't let him run outside the beyond the line of scrimmage. They kept him within the east and within the west side of the pocket. So didn't even give him an inch to go past that line of scrimmage. So that defensive front did a really good number on the Chiefs' offensive line and on Mahomes. But like I said, losing Dre Greenlaw to a freak Achilles injury was going to potentially bring some issues if the Chiefs were able to adjust to it in the second half. And this, like I said, despite that dominance of the defense, that offense of the 49ers took a long while to click until that touchdown drive in the second quarter. And yes, Brock Purdy made some good plays in that. But it could have been up more if that fumble didn't happen. If that fumble on that opening drive didn't happen. But of course, the Chiefs did have their moments, so give them that. So for either team to win that game, but at that point in the going into the second half, for the Chiefs to win this game, the offensive line need to give Mahomes time to throw in order for him to get the ball to Travis Kelce, and of course their other receivers as well, because they were doing okay for the most part, but you haven't heard a particular name by the name of Travis Kelce, and then of course there's also Rashee Rice, the emerging rookie receiver, and then for the 49ers to close out this game in the second half, you needed Brock Purdy and the entire offense that needed to heat up, because all you were getting at that point was Juwan Jennings throwing a trick pass to Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey, he had his good runs here and there, but it's just like you needed just about everybody to lock in, dial in, and really be that offense that was red hot, that could score on you in a hurry, for a good amount of the season, including that key NFC title game against the Lions. He needed George Kittle to wake up, Ayuk to wake up, and Deebo Samuel to wake up, his big top stars. So if the Niners are going to win this game and finally get that 6th Lombardi, then they need their stars to come out and play. So now we get into the halftime show with R&B pop star Usher. So this was not really too fancy. I mean, and let's be honest here. I feel like it was all right. It was all right. I mean, Usher is not everyone's cup of tea. But I'll say, like I said in my Super Bowl preview, I listened to some Usher back in the day when I was in a little middle school and high school. When he brought up, and Usher, he brought up the classics. Like, I didn't expect him to. I really did not expect him to bring out like Confessions. I didn't expect him to bring out that song because that was like a kind of sexual song. And keep in mind, I didn't look at the Nickelodeon broadcast either. I didn't watch the Nickelodeon broadcast. I didn't even check on that. But I wonder what they were playing at halftime, because there's no way, there was absolutely no way, Nickelodeon was gonna broadcast. I don't think they did. They were gonna broadcast a lot of suggestive songs, like even though Usher didn't like say any sexual explicit words in any of his songs, but it's just like, are we sure we can? Like, is Nickelodeon really sure they could broadcast this halftime show to kids on a network that has SpongeBob and The Loud House and whatever? So he brought up the classic hits like Confessions, Let It Burn, and of course he had Yeah, and then Oh My God, It's So In Love. Yeah, OMG. Of course I can't sing for shit, but anyway, yeah, I mean it wasn't a fancy, but it was also a simple, yet kind of effective halftime show. Sure, people say, oh, it doesn't have like the crazy stunts that the likes of Katy Perry, was it Lady Gaga, that one year, Super Bowl 51, or like Prince, Michael Jackson. But hey, Usher also brought it too. I mean, he brought it. I didn't expect like certain classic songs from him, but I mean, not too bad. It was not too bad. I thought it was all right. So now we get into the second half of this game, and 3 plays into the second half, I thought this is where the Niners really should have took advantage of this game, because you had a botched toss from Mahomes to Isaiah Pacheco, because that cost him a lot of yards, and then Mahomes made a really bad interception to safety Jair Brown, and this is where I thought the Niners really should have took advantage of that, but unfortunately not. They couldn't muster anything out of it. It's like I was screaming at them. I was like, do something, wake up. They still weren't doing anything. Like, Kyle Shanahan, what are you dialing up here? You have all this talent around Brock Purdy, and you can't do anything. All you're doing is trying to get the ball, force the ball to Deebo Samuel. You're and like in 3 consecutive plays, and it's like, hello, you have McCaffrey, you have Ayuk, you have Kittle. Why aren't you dialing anything up for Kittle? It's like, use them all. And they couldn't muster anything out of that golden opportunity. Perhaps their biggest opportunity to convert on that turnover. They did it again. After they couldn't convert on the Pacheco fumble. What are we doing here? You let Mahomes go scot-free with that pick. And yes, the defenses managed to go to punt city on the next 2 series, but the Chiefs got closer and closer to the Niners' lead. The Niners held them to another field goal, 10-6 later on, but by this point, I'm just questioning Kyle Shanahan's game plan, because where was the running game? Because on the Niners' second series of this third quarter, Purdy was throwing it a lot more. Like, why are we having him go hero ball here? I mean, yes, I understand that he can at least throw it downfield more than Jimmy Garoppolo did in that Super Bowl, but it's just like, you needed to have that balance, that same balance that you did during the regular season and the playoffs. Stop asking your quarterback to have that 90-10 split. It's like, why are we doing this now? And of course, yes, you also have the offensive line that I've had my problems with all season long, not being able to hold up. So that forced Purdy to throw some pressure-induced throws, try to avoid the sack. And it's not too bad to always take a sack, Purdy, But anyway, they had the punt. And then the Niners defense continued to dominate in the trenches. But this is where the game really started to get interesting for both teams, because the Niners really made a back-breaking mistake on special teams. A punt with a little bit over 3 minutes to go in the game, hit the foot of Darrell Luter Jr., the rookie, and I think it was like Ray McLeod. He told Darrell Luter to get out of the way, get out of the way. I think it was pointing towards him. I thought he should have screamed at him to move, get out of the way, but nope. It hit the foot of Darrell Luter Jr., and that is considered a live ball for whatever godforsaken reason. And Ray McLeod tried to jump on it, but instead recovered by the Chiefs, and Mahomes instantly cashed in on it with a touchdown to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And guess what? The Chiefs had a lead, 13-10, with 2.5 to go in the third quarter. But at least that woke up the offense of San Francisco. They answered with the touchdown drive that extended into the fourth quarter. Purdy dotted it a 10-yarder to Juwan Jennings to get the lead back. But another key mistake by San Francisco. Jake Moody got his extra point blocked to keep the game at 16-13. And the replay, I initially thought it was a clean block. Like, okay, I'll give them credit for that. But no, Jake Moody just kicked it low. It's like, okay, all right. Oh, like now another reason for us Jake Moody critics to get pissed at him. Like, we wasted a 3rd round pick on this guy. I mean, he made a good long kick, and now he does this. Great. That's great. And then it became a 16-0 game when Mahomes and the offense got marching down the field yet again. And Travis Kelce was starting to get more involved into the game because, eventually, at some point, you weren't going to keep Travis Kelce down and out even longer, especially now that the Niners were without Trey Greenlaw to neutralize him. Like, all he had was Fred Warner and Oren Burks in the game, and Oren Burks is no Trey Greenlaw. Like, let's be honest here. It's like he's not that same other half to Fred Warner. Like, they're not without Trey Greenlaw. I mean, sure, Fred Warner is like flying all over the place, but he also needs that other sidekick to him, and that's Trey Greenlaw, that physical, emotional sidekick that is Greenlaw. So it was a 16-0 game. The Niners defense at least limited him to another field goal. But the Niners, they had about over 5 minutes left to go in the game. They had an opportunity to go and potentially win this game. Milk it all the way down to the nitty-gritty. That's all they had to do. And they were almost there. They were almost there, man. They milked the clock all the way down that they could, even to the 2-minute warning. And they were staring at a 3rd and 4. A 3rd and 4. And they elected to throw it. And the Chiefs blitzed Brock Purdy. And that forced him to throw it incomplete. And then it was 4th down. With 1:53 to go, Jake Moody at least made the field goal. But it's just like, maybe you could have ran something. You could have ran a side pass to Christian McCaffrey instead. But no. They blitzed you. You could have threw a sidearm to McCaffrey or sidearm to Kittle. I don't know. Something to convert the 1st down. But no. We had to settle for a field goal. And then you have the Chiefs marching down. And they were very lucky. They were very fortunate that they were able to hold the Chiefs to another field goal. Because, oh boy, they made it really stressful. They made it really heart-inducing to have us sit there with Mahomes controlling the clock like he always did to the Ravens, like he did to the Bills for the last 2 years in the playoffs. Like last 2 or 3 years in the playoffs, sorry. But it's just like playing and toying with all the emotions of the Niners fans and, of course, their fans. But it's just like, this is painful to watch. It's just like, they just needed to stop. But then, of course, they're in easy Butker field goal range. So they go to overtime. The first overtime game since that Super Bowl 51 game with the Patriots and the Falcons. And then this is the actual first overtime game with the new overtime rules that were implemented after that Chiefs-Bills game in 2021, where now each team gets a chance to possess the ball, even if the first team that won the coin toss scored a touchdown. So each team would get a fair opportunity to go and score a touchdown. So the 49ers got the won the coin toss, and they elected to receive. And some people were questioning like why they elect to receive, why didn't they defer it? And it's tacky. It's very tacky, because if these new overtime rules weren't in effect, yeah, I mean, sure, it would have been fair that they go and score right away. And now that these new overtime rules are in effect, some people are saying, oh, they should have received it, or should have deferred it. So, their defense doing okay, all right, they're still doing good, but then at the same time, it's like the defense was almost nearly gave up a fucking touchdown to end regulation, and it's just like, well, here we go again. So anyway, San Francisco got first to start overtime, and Christian McCaffrey really took over once they got past midfield, and Brock Purdy threw a key third down conversion to keep the drive alive. But unfortunately, once they got into the red zone, yet again, 2 plays later on third down, Chris Jones disrupted a potential touchdown from Purdy to Jennings. Like, that was a bucket right there. And yet, nothing. Like, I don't know what happened on that play. Like, I kind of blanked on that, to be honest with you. But looking back on it, either George Kittle was supposed to block Chris Jones, or Purdy was supposed to check it down to Kittle to convert the first down. I don't know what happened there. Like, I let's be honest here. I really don't know what happened. But that should have been a touchdown. That should have been a touchdown regardless, or it should have been a first down. Either way, you cannot let that happen. You absolutely cannot let that happen. Or let's be honest here. They shouldn't have dialed that up in the first place. Like I said, with some of these third downs that they were in, you should have gave it to the best player of the game. And that was either Christian McCaffrey, or let's be honest here, Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings was the unsung hero of the 49ers, because he was doing these trick plays, and he was getting open for Brock Purdy when you had Debo and George Kittle, and sometimes Ayuk too, like becoming disappearing acts. And yet Jennings was out here making catches of his life, the conversions of his life out here, trying to help the Niners get in scoring position. And yet here they were in a third down, in a 3rd and 4 situation near the end zone. Could have got 7, but nope. Didn't get it. And they were limited to 3. Nick Mooney makes the field goal. And now you gave the Chiefs a chance to win it with the touchdown. And sadly, for Niners fans out there, you know how the story goes. You know how it went. Despite the Chiefs being on their last chance 4th down, like early in their first overtime drive, they convert it. Mahomes converts the first down, and they march right down near the goal line, and it was slow, methodical, but that's exactly what the Chiefs had you feeling. They wanted you to feel that this is going to be inevitable. This is going to be slow. They're going to make it feel painful. They're going to make you feel like our bitch. And that's exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes did once again to the San Francisco 49ers. They stabbed the knife in the 49ers' heart yet again. Mahomes threw it wide open, 10 yards out to McCole Hardman for their 2nd straight Super Bowl title. 25-22 in overtime, and the Chiefs are back-to-back champions, and the Niners' never-ending story for the quest for 6 continues. It's like this close. We always come this close and never capitalize. And I know someone will say, "Oh, we'll get there eventually." When? When is eventually? It's like we had two great opportunities. Like two great opportunities. Yet we had 10-point leads at one point in Super Bowl 54. It was in the fourth quarter. Blown. And then this game against the Chiefs, in the third quarter, blown. And then in overtime in this game, we could have scored a touchdown, and instead, what happened there? What happened in that one? Let's see. Chris Jones gets unblocked and Purdy forced to overthrow it. Like I really don't understand what happened in this game. It's like what went wrong in this game? Well, my initial thinking is there's at least 5 reasons. There's 5 reasons why San Francisco lost this game. And I look at Kyle Shanahan. Yes, I did not, I don't know. I feel like this is the least amount of criticism I've given Kyle Shanahan this whole 2023 season, where I've criticized him a whole lot when I started initially covering my San Francisco 49ers in 2021. And then I've given my flack to Shanahan in 2022 to some degree. And, well, I've given him very little. I feel like I've given him very little this year because, the Niners were doing so well. I mean, yes, they've had their flaws, but I feel like, the offense was playing well, so lights out with Purdy. He was finally having the offense to their full potential, both in the regular season, and he pulled up some good playoff wins. But they abandoned what made them so good in the season, especially considering the fact that Kyle Shanahan in the second half, he abandoned the run. Where's the running game? Way too often, like in the third quarter, he started the third quarter by having Brock Purdy throw it 3 straight times. Like, where's Christian McCaffrey? It's like, you use your best weapon. Like, don't get he was getting too cute. He was trying to make Brock Purdy be the hero of this story. I mean, it was clear. It was clear that yes, Brock Purdy was playing very solid, but it was just like, McCaffrey's the tone setter. Christian McCaffrey is the tone setter of this game, of this offense. Yet, despite him doing so well, you abandoned it. And even Elijah Mitchell too was actually doing pretty well for himself in the limited amount of time that he was playing. And for as injury prone that he is, he actually has had had some good success in the limited amount of time he's played. So I'm just wondering, like, why did Kyle Shanahan ditch the thing that has succeeded this team during this game? Like, why? Why? And then, of course, the thing that changed the game in favor of the Chiefs, and sure, the Niners were able to bounce back from that, but the thing that really changed the game in favor of the Chiefs was that special teams gaffe. Darrell Luter having the ball bounce off his foot on that punt, it really changed the tide. It really gave the Chiefs a spark to stay alive in this game, because I feel like, the special teams has been a kind of a gaffe this season. I feel like there's been some miscommunication between certain folks, and there's been some issues with, like, whether it's the field goal unit or like the back end of the punting unit. But it really showed in this game, because I don't know, man, that special teams gap was just like backbreaking. It really gave the Chiefs some ammunition to really start punching the Niners in the mouth and change the tide in this game. And then also, they didn't get enough of their stars. Like, where was George Kittle, especially? Like, for nearly most of the game, 1 target, no catches, 0 yards. Are you kidding me? It's like I get it. It's like, maybe he's being blocked somewhere, maybe he's getting covered, but it's like, you have to dial him in. You have to figure out how to implement it try to get him more involved in the game plan. If you notice that he can't get involved, he can't get uncovered, or he can't get if he can't get I don't know what's the right word for it. If he can't get more targeted, if he can't get more involved, then find a way to get him involved. Dial up something for Brock Purdy to get George Kittle some action, because there was barely anything for George Kittle in this game. He was a disappearing act. And Deebo Samuel, yes, he did have his moments, but a good amount of it was negative. Margin negative. Brandon Ayuk, yes, he did have some moments. He was key in getting the 49ers first downs, like good marginal net positive yards. But there was a big reason why Juwan Jennings and Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, had to step up in key situations. And that was because the top stars and Deebo, George Kittle, and to a little degree, Brandon Ayuk, they didn't show up. They did not show up in this game. That's very disappointing. I hate to say it, it's very disappointing to see. It really is. And then another thing, the offensive line. I knew this was going to be a problem. Going into this game, and it's been a problem all season long. Let's be honest here. But on key downs, retract that. They did well. They did well at points throughout this game, especially considering that the Chiefs didn't have their edge rusher Charles Omenihu because he tore his ACL 2 weeks prior in Baltimore. But they still had Chris Jones at defensive tackle and George Kalafdis at the other edge position. But the offensive line, outside of Trent Williams, they were still holding their own. But on the key downs, they were caving in. Especially like on that go-ahead touchdown that left Chris Jones unblocked. And there were points where Brock Purdy just had to make a lot of pressure-induced throws. It's just like, overall, they couldn't keep their quarterback cool, collected, and away from the pressure. And speaking of which, it's like Brock Purdy, I'm not sure why he didn't run out of the pocket more when he noticed this pressure, when he noticed a lot of this pressure. Like, where was that? He only did it like once or twice. So it's just like, that the offensive line is failing you. It's like, use your legs. You had to use your legs in this game. I mean, Brock Purdy it wasn't going to be immune to criticism as well. I mean, he played a very solid game here as well, but he wasn't going to be immune to this criticism. So anyway, this defense, it also eventually caved in once they were unable to apply any more pressure to Patrick Mahomes in that offensive line, and they also lost Dre Greenlaw. That Dre Greenlaw injury really affected them. It's like they were unable to contain Travis Kelce on the chunk plays any further. They were still at least able to stop the run, so that's something. But it's just like on the chunk plays that were able to limit first downs, nowhere to be seen. So just a very disappointing. It just sucks. It just absolutely sucks for the 49ers because it was there. It was there in their grasp. And yet they once again let it slip away. It's like, the Chiefs are literally like, Solo Sikoa. I don't know. Are they Solo Sikoa? There's like Samoan spiking Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania last year. And who's the Roman Reigns? No. I don't know. Is, Patrick Mahomes, Roman Reigns, and then the Brock Purdy, Cody Rhodes, and then, I don't know, is Andy Reid or like Chris Jones, Solo Sikoa, and then Samoan Spike, Cody Rhodes / Brock Purdy. I don't know. Either way, this is just like, it sucks. It at least, talking about it makes me feel a little bit better. It's just like, we always get so close, and yet they can never seem to figure it out. They can never seem to, quote unquote, finish the story, finish the quest for 6. It's the hashtag never ending story for San Francisco. The more things change, the more that they stay the same. Speaking of staying the same, the Chiefs got their wish. They became back-to-back Super Bowl champions for the first time since the 2003-2004 Patriots. And I know people want to say, "Oh, it's scripted." The Chiefs didn't get called for holding. Oh, they did it for Taylor Swift and all that. I mean, yeah, they got their wish. The NFL got their wish of a Taylor Swift Super Bowl win. So good, congratulations, NFL. You got your off-season storyline that's going to happen for the next 7 months until people get tired of you shoving it down their asses. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they didn't deserve it because they outplayed the 49ers in the fourth quarter and overtime. But their check down, their chunk play, their new style of play has worked for them. It served them well. It has gotten to this point yet again of winning another title. And the 49ers, they were just unable to stop it on key downs in the fourth quarter and on their overtime winning drive. It's just like, yeah, they're just always hard to stop. Mahomes, he doesn't have that downfield receiving threat that he's had for 2 seasons now. But he validated for the second straight year that, hey, he's not a one-trick pony. He'll throw it deep once in a while, but he's a more balanced quarterback now. So, I mean, not going to complain. I mean, I take that back. Yeah, I complained a lot, but it's just like, hey, the Chiefs are your Super Bowl champions, but of course it has to come at the cost of my San Francisco 49ers, who, again, can't finish the story, who can't finish the job. But, I guess congratulations to the Chiefs. So now we look ahead to the offseason for both of these teams. A little offseason preview, a little early preview to my 2023 NFL season recaps that are coming soon. So stay tuned for that. For my San Francisco 49ers, they really got to figure this out. Like, they really have to figure this out because they got to get back to this point if they can and win it. They've been on this trek for, what is it going to be, their 7th year now, and they've been here twice and they can't do it. They always can't capitalize. They've had a double-digit lead in both of these kind of games, and they let it slip away. And what's even worse, this second time around, is that they've lost it in an even more agonizing fashion. Overtime against the Chiefs in a game that they were dominating for a good 3/4 of the game, and then they let them catch up once again, and they blew their load in overtime. The never-ending story of San Francisco. And I feel like this is probably their best shot to get several key guys a championship because, for San Francisco, this offseason is going to be tough to navigate with the likes of Chase Young, Tashawn Gibson, Oren Burks, Clinton Farrell, Javon Kinlaw on defense, and then receiver Jawan Jennings. They're all slated to be free agents. I mean, sure, some people are saying, "Oh, those names are not pressing," but when you think about it, those depth pieces do add up, and yet the Niners, they have very little cap space to work with unless the new salary cap increases their load. Because when you think about it, the larger part of the contract extensions of the likes of Nick Bosa, George Kittle, I think Fred Warner, they have the big fat contracts. Like the larger part of it, they start kicking in. So that's going to eat a large part of their salary cap. And then you also have Javon Hargrave's big fat contract. But you're fortunate that you have Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk on rookie scale contracts, and you're also considering if you're going to extend Brandon Ayuk as well. But the main priority of your offseason should be focused on that offensive line because it has been dreadful for the last 2 years. You need to fix that shit. A good half of this draft picks and your free agency should be focused on fixing the offensive line. I want to see a new center, a new quality center. I want to see a new right guard and a new right tackle. And I don't know. The jury's still out on Aaron Banks. I think, yeah, he had a down year, but I think he could be better. But maybe some depth could be used behind him. But either way, there needs to be a change up in the offensive line, because if you want to keep Purdy around long term, if he wants to prove that he can still be the man, then you need to protect that damn investment. You need to protect his ass. And that starts with the offensive line. Start with center, start with guard, start at tackle. Because, Trent Williams can't do everything, He cannot. So they need to retool this offseason, because it's not going to get any easier once the new season rolls around. There's new NFC teams on the rise. The Lions, the Packers. You always have the Cowboys lurking. The Eagles lurking. So, yeah. And it's not going to get any easier for San Francisco. Especially because, you lost the Super Bowl yet again. And remember the last time the Niners lost the Super Bowl after in the following season. Yeah. That Super Bowl losers curse still lurks large. I'm just saying, you better find a way to overcome that too. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, they get their time to celebrate being repeat champions yet again. They get their parade and all that. Taylor Swift even gets to enjoy one. Whoopee. After that, they'll get back to work, trying to make it 3 for 3, a three-peat, something that's never been done before in the NFL. But considering it's the Chiefs and how weak the rest of the NFL actually is, anything is possible. Anything's possible with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. As terms of what they need to do in the offseason, let's be honest. Not really too much to retool, address. But same thing as last year. I do think they need to consider finding another receiver for Patrick Mahomes, especially now considering that you have emerging top option Rashee Rice. He could be a emerging receiver in going to year 2, and also take the load off of Travis Kelce as well, because you don't want to go into another year of Patrick Mahomes always having to rely on not just Travis Kelce, but a bunch of receivers that you can't trust. So go and get another receiver for Patrick Mahomes. Trying to make a tandem with Kelce, Rice, and wherever you get, whether it be in the draft or in free agency. So overall, this NFL season, some people say it's predictable. The NFL scripted it this way. There were some nice moments here and there. It was I'd say it's a very, very solid season. Some unpredictability here and there. Obviously for me, not the way I wanted it to end for my team. But, well, here we are. Like I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And, yeah, the Chiefs still remain your Super Bowl champions. Will anyone dethrone them? Well, you'll just have to find out in September when they open up the season yet again. So anyway, that was my recap, my therapy talk of Super Bowl 58 as the Chiefs down the Niners 25-22 in overtime, and they are repeat champions, back-to-back Super Bowl champions. And for my Niners fans, it's gonna be a long off season and a kind of short one too, because they only have a couple months to think about this one and get back to work. So let's talk about it in the comments on YouTube, and you send me your messages on Instagram or on X. I'm at Very Cold Lasagna. If you want to hash it out, get your feelings out. And Chiefs fans too. Don't be fretted by me being a Niners fan. You can also send me your ha-ha-has or you'll let you GGs. I'm cool too with that. But in the end, it's a never-ending story for San Francisco. Never ending. We can never get it done until something. I don't know. Something's got to change. Something has to be addressed. I don't know. I just don't know. But until then, that is it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, DylanLasagna. Thank you for tuning into this episode number 184 of this icy yet spicy sports podcast. This offseason is going to be an interesting one, not just for the NFL, not just for wrestling, but I got some stuff to do as well. But stay tuned to Very Cold Lasagna, because we at least are going to try to do some things for the next couple of weeks, months, etc. You just have to stay tuned to find out. But anyway, until then, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until the next one, peace out.